A live look for you right now at Phoenix, Arizona, where the city has now seen 25 consecutive days with temperatures above 110 degrees. So we're not going to take that live look, but you know, because we've been telling you that Phoenix has been dealing with that extreme heat for a long time now. Extreme heat is also spreading to the Midwest. So as Ed told us earlier, today until Friday, it could feel like we are in triple digits, which can create some serious health concerns. So according to the National Weather Service, heat causes the most weather-related deaths, killing hundreds of Americans every year. So we're bringing on an expert to help us guide us on how to be safe with extreme temperatures. We've got poor air quality. We've just got a lot going on right now. So joining us now is Dr. Trevor Lewis, chair of the Emergency Medicine Department at the Cook County Health. So thanks so much for being with us, Dr. Lewis. And let's get started real quick with just talking about how everyone can be prepared. Like, what are the additional steps that we can all be taking to prepare for this extreme humidity and heat?
Sure. Thanks for having me. So I think the biggest issue coming up, it's not only the high heat, but it's the humidity. Our body normally dissipates heat by sweating and evaporation. So we have to really stay ahead of the curve on that. One is hydration. If you have to be out in this extreme heat, you want to make sure that you're hydrated, maybe 16 ounces of fluid before you go out and 6 to 8 ounces every 20 to 30 minutes. What you want to do is wear light clothing that's more reflective. Dark clothing really actually attracts the heat. So you want to make sure that you're dressed with loose-fitting clothing as well. And then really have kind of an idea of what to look for when you're out in that hot weather, signs of perhaps heat exhaustion or worse, heat stroke.
Okay, thank you. Those are good tips. We know that the air quality has improved just slightly since yesterday, but the Canadian wildfires are not going away anytime soon thanks to climate change. The heat and poor air quality are now something that we are just going to be learning to deal with. So what are the compounding impacts on our bodies of the heat and poor air quality?
It's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. And once again, the body's working harder to try to maintain its normal temperature and function optimally. So once again, we have to kind of help ourselves. So it's with that hydration, it's with the loose fitting clothing. And I think the other things that I just mentioned before is really kind of keeping an eye on each other and knowing your own body. If you're out in this very warm temperature, if you start to feel, let's say, a little nauseous, if you're feeling dizzy, if you get a bad headache, those are really signs that you're having some heat exhaustion. And what you should do is get out of that warm environment. If you can, get maybe a cool towel or rag, put it around your neck and try to cool yourself down in the shade. And what I also talked about before, more importantly, is if you have any signs of heat stroke. If you yourself become confused or notice someone becoming confused in the heat, problems walking, things of that nature, those are signs of a heat stroke. That's a medical emergency, and you really need to seek medical care immediately.
So a lot of that advice is concerning people who have the privilege of being able to go indoors when they need to or when they feel like their body requires it. Right now, Illinois does not have any laws in place that require shade, water, or rest breaks for workers who are outside in this extreme heat all the time. So what would you say to employees and the Department of Labor about the importance of being able to take breaks and really trust your body when it's telling you, I shouldn't be outside right now?
Oh, absolutely. You have to listen to your body, and you have to find those ways to cool off. So air conditioning is probably the best, but there are other methods of doing it as well. A fan, if you can just kind of evaporate that heat off your body, that's helpful. If you have the ability even just to take a washcloth, put it in cold water and put it on the nape of your neck, that can be helpful as well. You know, if you're at home, maybe a cool shower, a cool bath, these are all things you can do. And once again, keeping that in mind, it's almost like running a marathon. If you're trying to work or have activity in this very warm weather, staying ahead of that hydration, getting that 16 ounces and then 6 to 8 ounces every 20 to 30 minutes. You want to stay ahead of the curve.
We talk so much about how climate change is affecting our weather patterns. I don't think we talk as often about the effects on our bodies when we're talking about high heat. So, and again, the wildfire smoke too, and just on our lungs and everything like that. How concerned are you? I mean, is this something that just keeps you up at night, the fact that all of these things have real impacts on our bodies and the way that we're able to function in our everyday life?
Sure, no, it's very concerning. As I said, this summer, especially with going into a hot summer with the poor air quality, we have lots of patients who have asthma, who have lung problems, who have chronic medical issues, the elderly patients. All these patients are having, I think, some very hard summers and very hard struggles with their underlying medical conditions with the current heat and air quality. So emergency departments really will expect to see an increase in visits in probably the next month or so.
I believe you already sort of touched on this, but let's talk one more time just about what people can identify in themselves if they are seeing, the early signs of heat stroke. What are the early signs of heat stroke?
Sure. Absolutely. So yeah, the big things are just really listening to your body. So when you start to get heat exhaustion, what'll happen is you'll feel dizzy. You might feel a little nauseous. You get a bad headache. If those things happen, that's when you want to get out of that heat. You need to get out of the heat, start hydrating even more, and try to cool down by any means necessary. But the more concerning things are if you're with yourself or if you're with family members and you see someone become confused, they pass out, intractable vomiting. These are all signs of someone who's having a potential heat stroke, and they need to seek medical care. I think the big thing with this, though, is that during these times of high heat and humidity, we not only have to watch ourselves, but watch our friends, watch our neighbors, keep an eye on elderly relatives. A lot of times they're going to be more susceptible to this heat. They might not have cooling mechanisms in their house or apartments. So you want to check on your friends, check on your family, just to make sure that everybody's doing okay.
I remember I had early signs of heat-related illness at one point when I was living in a much hotter area in the desert. And what surprised me about it, I was able to get into air conditioning pretty quickly, but what surprised me is how long it actually took to start feeling better. I mean, it took like a day. I was drinking a ton of water, and in air conditioning, it still took quite a while to kind of feel like I was, not nauseous anymore, which is interesting.
No, and that's the thing, and that's, I think, the importance of staying ahead of the curve, or staying ahead of things, because once you get behind, once you become dehydrated, once you get heat exhaustion and hopefully not heat stroke, really it's a big deal, and it takes a while to catch up. So I think prevention is probably the best solution.
Absolutely. Dr. Trevor Lewis, thank you so much for joining us this morning and sharing all of this amazing information just to help us not only get through the next couple days, but just this road ahead that we're all on.
Thank you, and stay safe.
Yes, Dr. Lewis is the chairman of the Cook County Medical Department, Emergency Medicine Department at Cook County Health, excuse me.